Hey folks, Farm Tour Tuesday, March 9th, 2023. I'm trying to carry 2 full 5-gallon buckets of feed in one hand because it looks like it's a storm. I think you can probably hear the thunder in the background. But that looks like a bunch of rain. And today's Tuesday, so I gotta move the pigs. I'm really hoping that it hits. That's pretty clear on that side. So, may dodge us. But, we need to, I'm hoping that filming will jinx it and it will rain, like while I'm trying to film. Anything I can to get some rain to hit us. So, what we need to do is I'm going to temporarily shut the dogs into paddock number 6. Yeah, so the pond hillside. And then we're gonna temporarily run the feeders all the way over here to the front side of paddock number 7, this front paddock that we want to rest, and they're not going to stay here. So we can open the line of gates. There goes some lightning. Open the line of gates all the way to paddock 1 so that we can run Payday, put that a little close, Payday and his ladies up to paddock 1. Then the feeders will go into paddock number 4. So the one that's with the shelter over there that Payday and them had moved a week ago out of. But what that'll do is then that's going to line everybody out a little bit better, so then I don't have fence to fence here with the pond and them, and it will then jump us closer to nagging that 3-week break that I want to hit with the 7 paddocks, right? So there'll be a 4-week break and a 3-week break between when pigs are on until June, when Payday and his set of ladies leave. Although then when that happens, Red will have long been gone, and Copa will go join Payday's ladies that got to stay, Ginger and Donut. So, all right, I do want to try to get the mood though before it rains too bad on me, so I'm gonna hop to try to do all that. Some pretty loud thunder strikes. I'm gonna take them over to this bale of hay. I hope that was an interesting film angle. All right, they're moved there, and that's just half their feed. So they'll get the other half with its way once I get them up into the other one. Hold on, dog's trying to crawl under the fence. It's not just rain. It's actually some big chunks of hail. How did you guys? Okay, oh, dog's joined us. Ow, dang it. Yeah, some of that hail's actually pretty decent size. It's Lee's marble size. And there's still lightning. Payday! Payday! Where are you at, boyo? Come on! Ow! Come on, Payday! Come on, paddock move! Come on, big man! We got the ladies all here. Payday, come on! Payday's being slow. Ow! I made a mistake. Come on, Payday! Come on, ladies. Ow. Okay. I'm probably gonna stop filming so I have all of my hands. Come on, Payday. Okay, it worked. I jinxed myself. It's hailing and it's lightning and some pretty heavy rain. But they're down here. They're over there. I'm gonna shut these gates and go inside for a little bit and go back to work on demoing the kitchen. Okay, that blew over actually pretty fast. We only got about 45 minutes of it. Better than nothing. Not gonna complain. Doesn't look like it really made any puddles anywhere. All the water that was out in the field where we were moving the pigs across, that was, and their wallow and all that, that was me. I left the hose on all night in a barrel, so, which is not surprising. I do that kind of stupid stuff all the time. But I know Chantel seems to post one about once a year in the middle of summer on Facebook. She's like, hey, don't know who needs to know this, but somebody left their hose on. It's usually me. I usually left the hose on. Flooded, nice big section, which was good because the day I did it, it was pretty chilly, but the next day it was 90 and I didn't get home until like 2 in the afternoon. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried that like everybody's overheated and yada, yada, yada. Not the feeder pigs. They were the only ones that didn't have a ton of shade, and their paddock was flooded, so they had plenty of wallow, and then their shelter. But okay, so I need to go back to feeding everybody, and we'll get you guys moved around, see where everybody else is. We need to move the feeder pigs because they were just in that temporary spot. So, okay, so to show you where the boys are, really no change. I still have yet to. There's a couple projects in the shop I really want to get done before I call his appointment in. And I know that once I call it in, I'm kind of set and I gotta like rush to do his appointment. But I need to stop feeding him essentially. Like, gotta get him processed so that I'm not having one more pig to feed around here. And then there's be less impact over here, right? Until these guys can move. Maybe stuff will grow back a little bit better. That's not just buttercup, which is beautiful, you know, mildly toxic. But they don't eat it anyways, but it is beautiful. I love all these bright yellow flowers. I know that like technically it's an invasive and I could go into a whole rant about it, and I'm actually debating doing a whole podcast about it. But that's a thing for later. As is, the boys had all morning in the backyard to graze, and they had a blast. There's a bunch of the giant ragweed coming up that they can get to, and they love that. They nibbled on some of the willows this morning, but it's okay. Beyond that, they're doing fine. We're planning still to take Copa to the show in June. Tubby will probably just join the field pigs for a little bit while he's gone for those 3 days, just so that he's not lonely, because Red will absolutely be gone before then. Like I said, I just have a couple projects I want to knock out first before I have to occupy that entire table in the shop to a big pig carcass for an evening. But yeah, that's where we're at. I actually think when I ran back up here from the rain, I had remembered that they were in the backyard, and I was like, oh God, I don't want them on the back porch, just pooping all over the back porch or something. So I ran into the backyard to try to herd them back in real quick through the rain, and they were sleeping in their shelter, so they were fine. They had gone back into the yard on their own, because I like to leave the gate open. Their wallows back here, then they don't feel the need to try to make a wallow in the backyard while they're doing their grazing. So yeah, they'd just gone back in the shelter, even though they had the entire back porch they could have laid on out of the rain underneath the big maple tree in the backyard. They all three crammed into that and were like, nah, this is good, we feel safe here. So all right, let's keep moving on, keep on feeding, keep on shuffling. All right, here are our two slackers. They've been getting some soaked feed because we've actually been getting like 9 barrels a week versus our normal 7. So I've had a little bit of extra way to try to get through everybody. And normally I would not do that. Okay, so keep that in mind. Normally, you should not give extra fat or protein, or just extra feed in general, to sows that are close to farrowing, because it can cause their piglets to grow a little faster, because it'll just throw that extra nutrients there, and it can cause difficult farrowing. So I'm crossing my fingers I haven't made a really dumb mistake, very noob mistake. There's our very angry killdeer mom. You saw that short, you know that her nest is right there. So, anywho, I have gotten the tiniest bit of milk out of both of them now. So my fingers are crossed that we're very close. Nice. I really, really need them to farrow within a week here. Like, please, ladies, come on. They're two of the ones that are going to Maryland. So, you know, these two, Payday and Biscuit and Dose, are all going to Maryland. And the goal is to take them in that week between the show in June. That's like the 16th to the 18th. And then we're leaving for another Oregon trip. Washington, to visit family that we never visit there. So they're always like, hey, you're right next to us, please come visit us. So we're finally gonna visit them and then hop down into the Willamette again. So this time not traveling south and through California the whole time. We're just gonna be able to go straight through there now that it's gonna be warm in June/July. So we'll be leaving like the 30th again. But that means I have like a week and a half between then and then that I want to then deliver these guys out to Maryland. So honestly, we're gonna be like, our farm sitter is gonna make bank, I can tell you that. We are gonna be all over the place though. Tons of driving, tons of miles on the vehicle. But that's really only gonna work out very well for us if these two ladies hurry up and have their babies, because that's like 8 weeks away and I like to wean at 6 weeks. So if they go ahead and wean now, like we'll be right on target. If they hold off any longer than that, then it's gonna be really rough. But their bags are really starting to bag down and drop and drag. You see they're really starting to fill. And like I said, I got a little bit of milk, so crossing our fingers, keeping the new buyer, who is a wonderfully nice person. We've talked quite a bit now. She seems awesome. So I'm so excited for them to be getting these 5. But if they don't do it in time, it means I need to bump back my CVI appointment with the vet, who the vet's going to come out here to do it versus us taking him in, because that would just be a stressful nightmare. But it would mean I need to bump back my CVI appointment, and then we'll have to bump the delivery to Maryland back until after our trip. So everybody keep your fingers crossed for me that this goes, that they farrow soon and that everything goes well. So alrighty, and here is Dos and her little ones. So as of Saturday, so like it had been cool all the way up until then, like we kept having those frosts. It was rough. It was just like, oh man. But it had been cool. Like I hadn't worried about them being in the concrete yard here. And that's usually what I like, is like it to be pretty cool. Everyone's in here, or if somebody does need to be in here when it's hot, that those trees are fully leafed out to cause some shade. And then Saturday, like I said, when I got home, I was like, oh my God, does everybody have wallows? Like what, man, I was screwed up. But 50 degrees, nobody needs a wallow, right? But Saturday it got up to 80. Actually it was like 85. And then every day since then, it has been in the high 80s. Actually, we hit 90 yesterday. So well, as soon as I got home Saturday and double checked that I had indeed flooded the field, and so created a wallow for the feeder pigs. Everybody else got their wallows filled, and while wallows were filling, I hung up this for Dos here, because in the afternoon, right, the sun sets over there, so then this loses most of its shade, you can see. And I had been working, since it had been so dry, also like this stuff bakes to the ground in here, and I can't shovel it out. But since I'm watering stuff in here to try to keep her cool, right? And trying to keep the area right in front of her barrel watered, it makes it also a mucky, gross mess. So I've been coming in here about every day and shoveling out and slowly working my way into the shelter. And so you can actually kind of see that, that's right where the light kind of changes, right about here on camera. That's a drastic uptick, because I still want to leave them a dry area. So what I've been doing is I've been shoveling out each day a little bit more and removing some of this layer, right? Because they don't need composting bedding anymore. And tossing it out, taking it to the compost pile, and then adding fresh hay in the back. And so I haven't done that yet today. So you can see it's pretty bogged down. You can see the stuff from yesterday that's still in the corner. So I will come in here once I finish chores, shovel out more, which she does not appreciate, because then, right, it's just the concrete, but it's wet concrete, mind you, because I will come in with the hose too, and go ahead and soak the whole ground here again. But I just don't want the poop mixed in. It's really gross. Their wallows are the same gross mix, like they just pee and poop in their wallows. Pigs can be really clean, but sometimes they're just really gross. But yeah, so right after it having poured, everything is soaked. The piglets are all soaked. Mama is soaked. But it was hot right before it rained too. It was already 80 degrees before it rained. Then it rained, and so of course everybody just rolled around and everything. So everyone looks disgusting. But that is that. All 11 of them are good, and I get to come out here and shovel some more, which just means more compost. So that's not bad. Yes, Mama. Yeah, Mama. All right. That is them, their new shade, and the arduous process of trying to clean this thing out while they're still in here, while making sure they stay cool, but don't have a bunch of poop. So, all right. And there's the bale we're pulling from. You can see the dark storm clouds like that. Just kind of looks blue, but that's the blue of the sky between the clouds. That's all dark. Oh, they're just rolling around messing with the shelter. That's where Payday and them are now. That's the dark storm clouds that had just passed over us. They're all going that way. Mama, be nice. Just threw a piglet. So, all right, that's that. Let's keep working. Alrighty, they are now moved over here into paddock number 4. The dogs are released. So now they're back up into paddock number, well, the dogs have 7 and 6. They've had that for the last several weeks. We really like letting them have the pond. There's a nice cedar tree up there. They like sitting there, and then they can look out over everything. Makes them happy. And it gives them like a full acre to roam and explore and harass rabbits and snakes and whatnot. To be clear, I like the rabbits and snakes, but so do the dogs, so I don't mind. Anywho, here they all are. I just made a post. It was honestly really, really cool, like how fast I'd got a bunch of responses. I haven't had anybody that wanted to buy the feeder pigs we posted yet, but just this morning I'd made a post on the Weston A. Price group for our local area offering to trade, because there's a lot of other really cool small farmers in the area doing regenerative stuff like we are. And I really enjoy when we can get local chicken and milk and things like that, and eggs, the stuff that we no longer raise, right? That we used to raise but no longer do, because we focus on the pigs. We'll just go ahead and walk around a little bit, look at some of our oaks, and you can see where the pigs are at here. So, offered to trade wholes and halves, value for value, for product, and immediately got, honestly, a lot of chicken stuff, which is good. Like, Claire loves chicken. She eats so much pork that she loses it when she gets to have a decent amount of chicken. But my standards are obviously ridiculously high, so kind of make that difficult for us. So we had like 3 people offer to trade for chicken, and about the same for eggs. So it looks like I'm set up pretty well with one, so that we will trade a half a hog for, gosh, it's going to be close to a year's worth of eggs for us. 1 to 2 dozen a week. And then we'll set up to trade for chickens too, probably roughly pound for pound, maybe a little bit more chicken, like outweighing pork. I don't know, we'll see how that settles out with them, because our rate is $5.25 a pound hanging for halves, or wholes, and $5.75 a pound for, oh, they're not getting this. I gotta go close that gate. We should do that while I'm talking. $5.75 a pound for halves. So it'll depend on what they want to trade quantity wise and whatnot, but I figured that ought to line out about right. It's been a little while since we've bought really nice chicken. But I know when we were raising it, we used to charge around $4 to $5 a pound. So I don't think that offering, prices have jumped for feed and everything else too. So I know that that's a little different for folks, but I don't think that $5.25 to $5.75 a pound for good chicken is asking too little. You guys can let me know in the comments what you think. But that's where I'm at. I'm gonna close them out of here and then get this back later next week. Anywho, so yeah, I was really impressed with that. Switch back as I get that wrapped. Really impressed with that, because I would really, really like to get a lot of those things local and be able to help people out, right? Because then there's no sales taxes. They get good quality stuff, because like for us, we don't make that much money on it. So when we do get to get the stuff that we really do want, it's difficult because we don't make that much money. We do okay, but being able to get absolutely everything like that the way we want and be able to support at the local farmers like that can be a little rough sometimes, right? In the quantities we want to do, since we do cook so much from home. And I would love to get back into cheese making and things like that once the kitchen's done, of course. But yeah, so that's my hope. Fingers crossed. Yes, ma'am. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Yeah, really, I don't think we've got that pretty solid chance of rain for the next 10-day forecast. But honestly, they've got rain, like 60% chance every hour for the rest of today. And beyond that big storm cloud that's leaving us on the horizon, we ain't got much. So I don't think we're going to get any more rain today. And this is what it has done, because we've had rain for almost, I think it's about been the last 10-day forecast too. And we got, I think, like a 10-minute sprinkle in that time period. But it has been like 60%, 30% all day, nearly every day for the last 10-day forecast. And we got one day out of that, a 10-minute sprinkle. So yeah, I'm not, and even this, it was heavy downpour and some hail for 30, 45 minutes, which, like I said, I'm still grateful for. We need it. We'll take anything we can get, but like, I don't think we're going to get the amount that the forecast keeps saying. So keep your fingers crossed for us and for everybody else that's dealing with these drought issues. I am really, really grateful for a lot of the stuff we do to try to catch that water when it does hit. and thankful that a lot of the bear areas, right, they don't look it a lot of the time, but they are, like if I dig down in there, they just break up with massive amounts of organic matter in there because of hay bales that are spread in a lot of the bear areas. That was all winter, right? And then what happens is the pigs just walk on them and trample them. And if you've kept up with, this is really just for folks who are new to our Farm Show Tuesdays and haven't caught up on all the back ones, you know that, you know, they stomp on and trample in it, and so the dirt covers over it, and so then after a little while it just looks like bare dirt, but really it's layers and layers of hay. Number one, where Petty and his ladies now are, is a great example of that. That is solid, like 2-3 inches now of hay. When you dig into it, it's just solid hay. And all of paddock number 7 that looks horribly bare, there's 3 round bales in there that have broken down over the winter, creating a lot of those spots. And on top of that, if you go back to looking at last year's stuff, you can see where all the grass had laid over. And so we were pulling back these big layers of grass in spots where it's bare. So like it's not bad. And I know once we get some rain, everything's going to recover really fast. We just need some of this rain with this warm weather to get everything popping. So pigs trundling up to the pond. All right, I think that is good enough to wrap out Farm Tour Tuesday. I still need to go shovel out Dosa's stuff and bring her more stuff and then re-soak her concrete for her. We may be fine with all this rain, but I'll go ahead and do it, cool her off with some clean water. And yeah, that ought to be it. Everybody else's wallows kind of topped off to an extent that I feel good, or these guys here, they have the pond now. All the barrels were filled yesterday, so everything is still nice and full as far as that goes. Yeah, all right. That is this week's Farm Tour Tuesday. Oh, wait. Yeah, I did have one more thing to add. I'm sorry. So for those of you that hung on to this very last little bit here, so I need to work my way down the list a little bit better. For I had one person completely forgot that they were on my wait list, and actually sold all of their pigs like 2-3 weeks ago. So I have one boar left out of that. I need to recontact the next person down on my list. And then I had another person that they've had some changes in between now and then, which, like, I mean, some of these people are on my wait list for 4-6 months easy. So, like, it is perfectly understandable people are going to have life changes in that time period. And so they're actually just wanting to do feeders this year instead of breeders. So they were on my list for 1 feeder and a breeding trio, and I already wasn't going to be able to do the male portion of their breeding trio, but I was going to get their 2 feeder, 2 gilts and 1 feeder. Now we're going to swap down to just 2 feeders. So that means I actually have 2 gilts and another feeder left that I need to work down my list to reach out to folks about too. So I've actually got a boar, 2 gilts, and a feeder barrow to place. Which I have people on my wait list for those. I just need to reach out to them. So I do that. Not everybody's placed like I thought yet. So I got to get that taken care of. And then everybody will be placed. So yeah. All right. There we go. And I am plugging away at the leaky weirs every day. I've just been moving at least a few boards where I have some time when I do chores. I just grab a big handful of them and cart them out somewhere and lay them in those low areas. They do seem to work. They seem to catch water when we had been getting rain, and now that we haven't gotten any rain, it's not doing a whole lot. But since the grass is in several areas, I mean, if you look here at the fence, like that's, step my leg there. I believe that seed head is up to my pocket. I don't know if that's actually visible, but yeah, a lot of this is like 18 inches tall at least. So growing good, and it's growing good against those barriers, so that'll help screen everything down and do what we wanted. So yeah, okay. Last big thing is, of course, thank you so much to Raymond and Ashley Hunter for being Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Raymond, I had a fantastic 3-hour chat with you the other day, or I think it was like 2 hours and 45-ish minutes. That was awesome. I thank you so much for that. Like, I hope you get as much out of those conversations as I do, because I get a ton out of them. I really, really enjoy them. I know I am not the best person on Patreon at like getting you as much content and stuff on there as easily as or as much as I should, or, you know, setting up those chats as frequently as I should. But I hope that when we do have those conversations that they definitely make that worthwhile for you, because it is super worthwhile to me, and I super appreciate it. if you guys would like to, he's just buzzing around me now. If you would like to join us on Patreon, all you gotta do is click the link down in the description. It's set at like $10 a month. So it is like, honestly, nowadays it's the cost of a cup of coffee with a tip. So it is not that much.